Hey, happy Friday, amigos. Hope you're all doing well. Today we got ourselves our delightful, cheeky $10 meals. So we're going to be doing a mushroom ragu. So basically it's going to be slowly cooked on top of the work surface, obviously in a pan. We're going to do the mushrooms. We're going to make a nice little stock to go in there. Also make a little roux, and we're going to finish it off once it's all sauced up together with a nice delicious creme fraiche, and then finish it off with a little touch of parsley. I'm also going to show you guys how to do a quick, easy, cheap pasta to do as well. If you want to make a good bit of pasta, you've got a little bit more money you want to spend, then I recommend double O flour, but I'm going to use plain flour and a little bit of wheat flour as well for this. And then we're going to make it, roll it by hand, so we don't need a pasta machine, and then cut them into nice little cheeky noodles, and then just mix that through with the mushroom ragu as well. So a nice little delicious cheeky dish for you guys and gals to try this weekend, or maybe tonight if you've got time. And feel free to go check it out on my website, !website, or chefjohnreed.com. Right, let's make a start on this stock. So, small onion, I'm just going to chop this up. We're going to get a pan out as well. I'm going to put the pan onto a medium heat first to begin with. I'm not going to make too much veggie stock. We don't need a lot, so I'm only making a small amount. If you want to buy ready-made veggie stock, that's fine. It's up to you. I'm just going to make my own with leftovers I've got in the fridge. So, let's turn that down to, it's on a medium heat. Right, so we've got about, I would say if you've got a good sized normal garlic cloves, about 3 or 4. These are really, really small, so I'm just going to use about 4 or 5, so that's fine. So let me crush them down. We're also going to roughly chop up the garlic, the onion, sorry. So just crush this down. Just take off the skins. I'm not going to grate this because it's just going into a stock, so no need. Anyway, let's chop this up. Just rough cut, nothing too fancy. So I also said I wanted some parsley as well, some thyme and some rosemary, bay leaf. I mean, you could add some mushrooms. I don't think I got any spare mushrooms though. Maybe I could add like 1 or 2. But I want to save mainly most of them, pretty much for the ragu itself. So I don't really want to waste too much. So I'm just going to grab 2 mushrooms in there just to kind of start it off a little bit more as well. So I don't really need to pick down the thyme leaves itself. So we can just chuck in a stalk. That'll be plenty. Also, don't need that much rosemary. That's a little too much. I'm just going to take a little snip. Don't want a lot of this because this can tend to be a little bit strong. So we're just going to use a little touch. I am going to use a little bit more rosemary in with the mushrooms later on. Right, so this is some old parsley. So I'm just going to use some of the stalks mainly. Let's get that little band off. Let's get rid of that. So just going to give that a little bit of a wash as well. We want about a teaspoon or 2. I don't want to go too crazy with this because I don't want it too oily. So this is nice and hot now. So just a little touch of that in there. So, fantastic. And what we're going to do is just chuck in the onions and the garlic first and the mushrooms. Right, so we're going to give them a little mix around. So I just want to get a little bit of caramelization in there. Let's grab some of the herbs. Just chuck the mushroom straight in as well. And I'll leave the parsley, put the thyme in there. I'll put the parsley in kind of last minute. Bay leaf. That always makes me laugh, right? Give you a little tub of bay leaf. How on earth are you supposed to get bay leaf out of there? I like the smell of bay leaf. A little bit of bay leaf there. I know, before you say it, they buy these cheap and they put them on all of them regardless of what's in there. Most of them are spices, but yeah, I get it. Anyway, one leaf of bay leaf. We don't want too much in there. So those are cooking down very nicely. Just want a little touch of caramelization on there. Nothing too bonkers. I also want to get about 1 litre or 1.5 litres of water. There's our parsley stalks. We'll chuck them in there. So we're just making a nice little kind of quick stock. Just to kind of get that going. So a nice, quick, delicious dish for you guys and gals. And if you want to check this recipe out, this recipe will be available tonight on my website, chefjohnreed.com. So feel free to check it out later on tonight once I post it. I'll post it in Discord once it's up and running, so you'll hear it. Stock is on. I feel like we need to make the pasta next, right? Is it pasta time yet? I feel like we need to make the pasta. Then we're going to let it rest, and then we're going to make the base, and we're going to come back to the pasta. That sounds good to me. 100 grams of plain white and about 100 grams of whole wheat. I was going to open the fridge then. It's not in the fridge. 100 grams. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, cool. Well, well, if it isn't my favorite food guy on the internet, guys, I don't know who you're talking about, right? I don't see this guy you're even on about, right? Right, I need a little cheeky pinch of salt as well. Did I say 1 or 2? I said 2. If I said 1, I lied. So I want a little touch of oil. Actually, extra virgin olive oil. If you've got it, you can use whatever oils. I'm just going to put choice of oil on the recipe. I'm going to use extra virgin because I've got it. And 2 eggs. So basically, for my pretty much standard pasta, I do every 100 grams, I do 1 egg. So we're doing 200 grams, so then we're going to use 2 eggs. Right, I need to turn that stock down because it's going to come up to a simmer now. Right, 2 eggs. Whoa, minus the chicken snot. Okay, so is our beautiful mix. So I'm just going to mix up those eggs. I mean, you can whisk it up before chucking them in, but it's all going together anyway. I'm just going to give it a little quick little cheeky mix now. And then we're just going to give it a nice little mix up without getting it all over me. Right, I need a little touch of water in here because it's not quite enough bound. So I usually add a little touch of water anyway. Right, so I'm going to bind this together now. Don't want it too wet. I might have gone a little heavy-handed on it, but it should be okay. Right, so let's give this a knead. So using the heels of your hand, this is a little touch on the sticky because that's my fault for adding too much water, but that's okay. So I'm just going to give this a nice little knead just for a couple of minutes, just to get it nice and elastic. But yeah, I've added a little touch too much water to this, so a little too heavy-handed, but that's okay. That's okay. Alrighty, so boop, boop. There's our pasta. Not going to need it any further, otherwise we're going to make it quite tough, so I'm going to let it rest now. Let's start this base. Let's chop this up. Also got some rosemary. I got a little bit of thyme. Top and tail. Top and tail. Now we're left with this little end piece. What we're going to do? Throw it away, chef? Absolutely not. We're just going to give this a nice little dice down. There we go. So if you missed that, that's fine. We'll do it again. So basically you want to be cutting it horizontally. Then you want to cut it vertically, still holding the root intact. And then what you want to do is just cut it across into a nice little cheeky dice. Right, we're going to have a little touch of rosemary. So I'm going to dice this up. How much? A very small amount of sprigs, so just a few little cheeky leaves in there. So fantastic. Right, so we're going to dice this up. I appreciate it. Right, so let's dice this up. Watch the fingers. Just going to grate the garlic down. So we've got the herbs there. Get the garlic, and then we're going to set this aside. I'm going to start cooking this in a bit. Also, we need to probably wash the mushrooms, get them sliced up. Let me grab a kitchen roll, and we're just going to wipe these. So I just need to dampen it. Now you might think, chef, that's a lot of shrooms, but actually when you cook them down, they actually whittle down to barely anything. So don't be, what's the word I'm looking for? Surprised? Yeah, surprised that this actually won't be much. Look at that beautiful pasta, guys. Look how soft that is. Goodness me, that's a beautiful one. And even this is cheap and cheerful pasta as well. So fantastic. Right, I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to roll the first lot out. I also need to put a pan of water on so we can get that on for the pasta. So let's fill that up now very, very quickly. And the rest. So what we want to do is pretty much roll this out. Now, if you've got a pasta machine, it'll save you a lot of time. I haven't, so I'm going to do this by hand. So what we're going to do, roll it out into a nice long rectangle. So that's what you're looking for. Pretty much almost until it's like transparent. So, and I feel like this pasta is a little bit on the wet side because I did say added a little bit too much liquid this morning, but that's okay. Okay, so it's actually looking pretty good. Pretty good. Now it's time to flour the hell out of it. Why? Because when we cut it, you want to make sure there's no moisture. And when you cut it, excuse me, it doesn't stick together. So what I want to do, don't be shy on the flour. And what we're going to do is just kind of like fold it up like a book. Let me just make sure I get the measurements right first. So yeah, it's about there. Okay, cool. I feel like I need another fold in this. Just another one. Alrighty, so what we're going to do is start slicing those noodles. Let's get rid of that. Okay. A little bit of concentration here. Make sure we get it right. Don't push down on the pasta. If your knife is not sharp enough, sharpen your knife. You shouldn't be pushing down on it. If you're pushing down on it, excuse me, you need to sharpen your knife. So, let's set that aside. Might use that for something else, we'll see. Anyway, let's take some of these noodles over. I'm going to drop them in. And then if you've got some ice water, that's fantastic. If you haven't got ice water, just use the cold water from your tap. I've got cold water from the tap because it's quite, I wouldn't say it's too chilly, but it's still pretty cold out there. So let me switch this over. And what you want to do, super important, just carefully drop these in and untangle them. If you don't untangle them, you might end up with clumpy noodles. So super, super important. Make sure you untangle these little bad boys, otherwise you're going to have issues. Trying to shake off the excess flour so it doesn't all go into the pot, because sometimes you can end up with, it'll froth up because of the excess flour in there. Refresh them. So it's going to take a couple of minutes, 2-3 minutes, just to cook down. Right, okay, I think we're about there now. So there you go, got those beautiful noodles. So I'm going to run this under gently cold water. And if you've got ice, you can just put ice in there and then just fill it up if you want. I haven't got any ice, unfortunately, but that's fine. It's still going to do the same job with the cold water. So anyway, so pop these straight under. Ah, my finger's hot. Actually, before I start heating that up, let's drain this off as well. So it's our stock. So a mushroom veggie stock we got in there. So we've got onions, parsley, a little touch of thyme, rosemary, bay leaf in there, a few little mushrooms, some garlic. So some nice beautiful flavor. I'll show you guys now, and let me strain it off. Right. Just keep that in there. So there's our beautiful vegetable stock, ready to go for our sauce. Let's put this onto a medium heat. About 2-3 tablespoons. I said about 2. I'm going to go for 1, 2, 3. So the mushrooms will actually soak up quite a lot, so we'll see. So I'm going to put our garlic, onions, thyme, rosemary straight into the pan, without it splashing all over the stove like I'm making an absolute mess here. Goodness me. Okay, we're now going to add the mushrooms. Mushrooms are going in. So, 2 tablespoons of flour. So this is going to thicken up very nicely so we can get a nice little sauce out of it. And we're also going to cook it out as well, so you don't get that floury taste. Super, super important. You make sure you cook that out. Why is my pens on there? I don't know, but they are. And then we're going to start adding the stock. And then also I've got a little touch of creme fraiche in the fridge. And also I'm going to chop up a little bit of parsley. So while that's heating up, I can chop up the parsley very quickly. Right, so I'm gonna slice. Yeah, I suppose we're slicing it. Slice this up, very nice and fine. So that's cooking out really nicely now. So the flour is in there, so it's really kind of like cooking out that beautiful flour. I'm gonna start adding the stock we got here that we made earlier on. So I'm gonna add a little by little. I'm gonna turn the heat up on this now. Right, so a little touch more. And if you're going to ask me, like, why are you not adding this all at once? Because you'll end up with lumps in there, and you don't want really a lumpy sauce, so you want it nice and smooth. So by adding it little by little, you're actually making the sauce incorporate bit by bit, so it will come out nice and smooth, not lumpy. I'm going to add some creme fraiche to it very shortly, so I'm just going to let this thicken up a little bit. Got a little touch of veggie stock there, veggie/mushroom stock, shall I say. We're a good consistency now. If it gets a little bit thick, we can always add a little touch more stock. But so I'm going to add the creme fraiche shortly. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Right, so a little bit of creme fraiche in there. Let's get that a little mix up. Let's take this. Oh, wait, we're not going to take this off. We're actually going to get a handful of the pasta. Just drain some of that liquid off. Just drop that straight in. So. Oh, it smells so good. Just enough light. There's enough coat in there. Can you see? Sauce isn't too thick. It's not too thin. It's just enough to coat it. A little cheeky bit of parsley in there as well. Just finish it off with that little touch of creme fraiche right there. And there it is. Anyway, so yeah, making the homemade noodles. So we did 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of wholemeal flour, 2 eggs, a little touch of oil, 2 pinches of salt, a little touch of water to bind it together. Knead it for 5 minutes, let it rest, cut it in half, we rolled it out, we folded it like a book, put it inside, rolled it out until super thin, and then we folded it like a book, put in plenty of flour, and then we sliced it on the chopping board. Boil in water, carefully flake and drop them in, 2-3 minutes until al dente. The mushroom mix, so we made a quick little veggie stock with a few mushrooms in there. We also had onions, garlic, a little bit of thyme, rosemary, bay leaf in there. You can put whatever you want into your stock, it's up to you. Or if you want to use a quick little stock cube, that's fine, it's up to you as well. So we cooked the mushrooms down with the onions, garlic, rosemary, thyme as a base. We had shiitake mushrooms, and we also had a few button mushrooms in there. Sweated them off. Then we added the 2 tablespoons of flour, cooked the flour out, added the stock little by little, creme fraiche just to finish it off to add some creaminess, bit of chopped parsley, boom, easy. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Thank you for everyone who hung out. Thank you for the bits, the tips, the crazy amount of subs. Thank you for my lurkers. Thank you for you guys being here, chilling, relaxing, enjoying the show. Thank you so much for hanging out. I'll be back on Monday with YouTube content. If you don't enjoy that, that's fine. Tuesday I'll be back on Twitch with that cheeky sushi. But anyway, everyone have a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you Monday or technically Tuesday. But anyway, take care and bye for now, amigos. Thank you so much for the support.